feel the black water. Madonna, now it is the AFM Health Hour.
Yes.
Are we going to talk about black water this morning?
Oh, no. This morning we're going to talk about workplace bullying and what causes it and what it does to the health of those who are abused by
now we were
workplace
sort of
bullies.
mentioning this last week.
We did.
We didn't really get into it. But,
no.
Okay, I'll let you go.
No, absolutely. So I've got Alice with me here this morning, and Alice is currently in workplace bullying, and she's been brave enough to come along and have a chat to us. Can you tell us a little bit about how it has affected your health? How long's it been going on at the moment for you?
At the moment, it'd be years, actually.
So like 5 years, 10 years?
Well,
okay, so somewhere, so somewhere in there. So that's, and from that perspective, you're talking every day at work?
Yes.
Okay.
Possibly, yeah.
So a daily occurrence. So how do you feel by the end of the day? Just
Exhausted.
Purely when you get home?
Completely exhausted. The whole idea is you'd love to go to the gym afterwards, and that's a good way to de-stress, but sometimes you're just completely exhausted, not useful for anything.
So is your mind ticking over what's happened in the day, or is even the brain just numb? It just doesn't have the energy to even think about it anymore?
It can be either, really. It depends on what the situation was, what was said, what happened, how you feel as a result of it. So whether you become very emotional, and I just don't think I'd be safe at the gym at that point. And then I get frustrated because you think, well, that's the one thing I do for me.
Yeah.
And I really need to do it, and I've paid for it, but I'm missing it.
Yeah. So in the last, say, 10 years, while this has been going on, what sort of things have been going on with your health?
My health has really deteriorated, as you can tell just by looking at me, so I'm glad no one else can see it. I went from someone fit and trim to someone who's fat and frumpy.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, even though I still keep exercising.
So I've known you for about 20 years. You were a size 8 when we met.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
Yeah, no longer.
And we won't go to whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
No. But it's So it's affected that because
hormonal imbalances.
Right.
And just illnesses that I've never had. Like, I was a fit and healthy person, and now I have so many different injuries, different conditions, and trying to sort it all out on minimum budget, you just can't. And it's frustrating. And I think for me, the weight issue is not a vanity thing so much as you look in the mirror and all you see every time is what led to it.
Right.
So I think I've said to you a number of times, I feel like I'm trapped inside this other body.
Yeah.
And occasionally I see glimpses of me.
And for those people who would say, well, why don't you just get another job?
Yeah, that'd be great, except that when the bullying is excessive, it makes you so sick that you can't do the best thing by yourself.
Okay.
Maintaining a healthy state of mind so that you can sell yourself, which is what you do in a job interview. You have to put your best foot forward, and you're the product that you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
Pretty hard when you're completely depressed, no energy, haven't slept at all for days.
Yeah.
Very hard to do.
And from the perspective of psychology appointments and that sort of thing, you do tend to talk about it. You're not trying to bottle it in, are you? You do tend to try to talk about it and get it out.
I used to, but I'd certainly not anymore.
You used to bottle it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to bottle it up, but not anymore, because that just does more damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes you sicker and sicker, and I don't want to be sick.
Yeah. I know when I started doing this work 23 years ago, I would often hear people say they didn't believe in stress. It was often more men than women, but it was a common thing that people would say if I would say, well, maybe you're stressed. And they would really arc up at the idea that stress would cause anything in their body. Whereas I don't hear that these days. People are much more aware of the effects of stress. But with you, we're talking weight, we're talking depression, we're talking anxiety, and then physical post-traumatic stress. From the yeah, okay.
And then all the physical stuff that goes with it.
Yeah.
Because often when you go to the doctor, the first up treatment that you get for it is going to be all the antidepressants, anti-everything.
Yes.
And I was treatment resistant, and I've never been so sick in my life.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the emotional stuff that you deal with, then I had all the physical stuff. And now I have, well, as you know, complicated and many different conditions as a result that I just can't seem to get on top of.
Yeah. And over the last few months, I've chatted to listeners about when people get misdiagnosed with, say, and obviously there's depression in there when you're being bullied all the time, but because that can cause, say, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, if you're actually being treated for something like depression or anxiety and the thyroid issue is not being found in the background, that can then lead to high cholesterol and liver issues and all sorts of dysfunction in the system, fat metabolism and all sorts of, so you do now have thyroid issues as well, don't
Yeah,
you?
definitely.
Yeah.
And it was on both sides of the family, but mine was always maintained by good diet and exercise.
Yeah.
But when the stress levels just, maxed out
Yeah.
completely, and all of a sudden I no longer had that fit, healthy body, and I can't relate to this one
Yeah.
as much. I try to be very grateful for everything
Yeah.
it's gone through, but it's very hard.
Yeah. And the research that you've done where you would look at what you could do for your body, we'll chat about that in a little while. I do know that, actually I'll chat about that later on as well. So from the body perspective, with your joints, with your aches and pains, this has basically created autoimmunity in your system.
Yeah, very much so.
So
Fibromyalgia is not a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
Never knew what it was, never heard of it. Simply walked into the doctors one day and said, "You're going to think I'm mad," but I actually heard everywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Yeah. And your doctor was able to work out what that was fairly quickly?
Yeah, she was very good, and she started treating me as if I had fibromyalgia, but it took 4.5 years on the public waiting list to get in to see a rheumatologist who, within a couple of minutes, said, yes, you do have fibromyalgia, and then the treatment that was offered was antidepressants, and I went, no.
Yeah, so your body had already been quite destroyed by antidepressants. Yeah. And obviously sleep is a fairly major issue with you as well.
Oh, yeah. I would kill. I hear people say, I was asleep before I hit the pillow, and I could quite literally, and I'm not a violent person, but you feel like grabbing them by the throat because you go, how do you do that?
Yeah.
So I run laps around the bed, I do all sorts of things. I've got an extensive DVD collection because you don't want to disturb people early in the morning. But if I get 2 to 3 hours sleep, that's pretty good. And some days I go to work on no sleep whatsoever.
Yeah, and obviously anyone who has not great night's sleep, when you do end up going to work, you have no choice but to run on adrenaline. So because that lack of sleep means that you don't have any natural energy in your body, your thyroid won't have got time to regenerate, or your liver or anything. So therefore you've got no choice but to run on adrenaline, which of course makes the nerves more fractious, more ready to be,
Very pain sensitive.
Yes.
On certain days.
Yeah, and I imagine emotionally sensitive as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
And I admit to being sensitive. Some people would say hypersensitive, but it's good in the sense that you pick up on people's non-verbals very quickly.
Yeah.
So you can sense when you're in a danger position very quickly.
Okay. So when we come back after a song, we'll chat about the bullying triangle so that people might actually start to recognise it with their kids or their workplace or their partners' relationships, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So we'll have a quick song and...
I was just thinking, isn't it a shame that there's no anti-bully tablets or anything
Yeah.
like that?
That would
Isn't
be
it a
great.
shame?
And
It
that
would be
person
lovely.
Would be a millionaire.
Yeah. Okay, well I'll get Ted to go and work on that now. No, it's a fascinating story. It's lovely to have you in here, and we'll continue it. But yes, so unfair, and that's the part of it we don't like. All right, it's the Bay FM Health Hour.